Okay, so it is 5:35. We had some technical difficulties, so that's why we're starting late. So I'm calling this meeting to order at 5:35. First, a reminder that meetings of the Select Board are meetings conducted in public. They are not meetings of the public. Nonetheless, members of the public shall be afforded reasonable opportunities to express opinions about matters conducted by the Select Board so long as order is maintained. The rules for public comment are, at the conclusion of a Select Board discussion on an agenda item, but before any action is taken, there may be 10 minutes afforded to public comment. Comments made by the public must be addressed to the chair, to the Select Board as a whole, and not to any individual members of the Select Board or members of the public. Members of the public must be acknowledged by the chair before speaking. If a member of the public has already spoken on a topic, they shall not be recognized again until others have first been given the opportunity to comment. Order and decorum shall be maintained throughout the meeting. Personal, impertinent, threatening, or profane remarks will not be tolerated. For those who are participating via Zoom, please note that chat is not an appropriate avenue for public comment. All public comments must be made verbally when acknowledged by the chair. Please silence all cell phones, and a reminder to all that this meeting is being recorded and may appear on the internet. And I'd also want to note to the people on Zoom that I can't see the screen. Hopefully somebody will be able to point out. I forgot your name. Brian from BCTV has been kind enough to operate the hands on Zoom. So, are there any adjustments to the order of the agenda?
No.
Select Board? Okay, then let's move on to Select Board unfinished business, which is the Putney Fire Department Interim Strategic Model Plan, Fire Service Reactivation. How do we want to begin?
So in front of you
Yeah.
is the interim strategic model plan, fire service reactivation dated May 24th, 2024. And also in your packet are the questions that were updated as of 5/24/2024. That the Select Board
Okay.
asked that we answer. So the plan was sent to the board 2 days ago.
Yep, which is what we requested. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. And I'd also like to state, things have happened this week.
Okay.
So it may not be reflected in the report, but I do know a training did occur on Tuesday evening. I've met with Drew Hazelton and Jeanette White.
Okay.
I met with them on Monday night, but that was strictly for EMS. So things are happening.
Did Peg get a chance to look this over? Did you send this to her
I
by any
did,
chance? Okay.
yes.
Because
Did she send you any comments?
she sent me some comments, but I didn't know if she had seen this already. The main thing that she is concerned about is if there isn't a job description for the interim chief.
There is
At
in
least there isn't
your,
one here.
there is
There's one
one in
here.
your questions.
Where? Oh. Okay.
So can I make a comment
Yeah.
also? So when that question was asked, there was a time and a date that I don't recall that 13 of us sat in the watch room one evening and we put together a full-time fire department description. At that time, we didn't consider a part-time, and having to come up with an interim fire chief job description, that most likely will change as we move forward to a permanent solution. It was difficult, and it only specifies fire.
which is appropriate right now.
Yes.
Okay.
But you do have in your packet an interim fire chief job description. It's basically part-time on-call.
And I just got this, so I skimmed it the best I could, but it looks to me like a lot of the questions that are detailed questions that are in here, you can't answer yet because you haven't gotten into the ESO system, like you're still learning it,
Yeah,
right?
for
Okay.
sure.
The other thing that Peg requested, and I agree with, is to have regular reports from the fire department at our regularly scheduled meetings, to report progress and updates and.
Yeah, that question was answered as well.
Okay.
So either the interim fire chief through me will present information and updates. If there's anything major, of course, we all will be notified.
Okay.
And at any point that this board requests that the interim fire chief be present, then he will be present.
Okay.
Can we talk about the job description
Yeah, go ahead.
a little bit? So, the job description right now is a little bit tough to come up with because the group of people we have in the fire department now have sort of agreed on that. We're gonna try to delegate that out as much as we can, you know, the traditional chief's job. If we can spread that out over 4 or 5 people, you know, it makes it a lot more doable for somebody part-time that has other stuff going on. It's just, you don't know exactly who you're gonna have and who's gonna, you know, commit 100%. It's not like they're, you know, bound to anything, so, but we'll make it work.
Okay.
Yeah, I also want to add to that there are people in this department that have skills, and we need to look at each person. And it's both fire and EMS, so when we get to that point, delegating responsibility is gonna be key, to build a system that, where not just one person is doing everything.
Selectboard, have any questions? I had another one, but it left. The one thing that I'm hesitant about, and I understand that it's a little hard to answer, because we don't have a fire department stood up right now, is the call time question. Because one of the reasons that I felt it was important to suspend services was that it appeared that we didn't have enough personnel to comfortably have Putney be toned. That might add more time than to have the department suspended and have mutual aid automatically engaged. So I'm wondering, do we have any idea about that?
Yeah, so, the last tally I had is, we will have, I think we'll be back to 10 people that are either firefighter 1 or firefighter 2, and a couple more that are awfully close to having that. And I'm working on, a couple more people that have it as well. They've expressed that they're not super interested in being, I guess, fighting fire, but they still have the certification. So you're not gonna turn that away. I mean, it's still experience. And as far as, we do have a fair amount of new folks that are really green, but I feel like they're gonna come up to speed fairly quick. They're not into training on every single aspect of the fire department. They're more, you know, they wanna drive or they wanna just be an exterior firefighter. And that's great because if we can just train them up in that category, they can take the place of somebody that's certified, that's, say, driving a truck, that's certified to fight fire, and it puts them in a position where they can go fight fire.
Okay.
So,
And again, this is not probably, actually, this is probably just a newbie question, so forgive me if it sounds stupid, but when a tone happens, and say you live in East Putney,
yeah.
and the call is in East Putney, do you go directly to the call, or do you come down here, get suited up, and drive a truck back to East Putney?
The answer is, it depends on the call, really.
Okay.
I mean, if you have, it depends on the time of day, it depends on the call. I know myself, Lenny, I think Eric will have the ability to have a mobile in your truck, which is kind of key because it's a little bit hard to talk to Keene dispatch by portable. So there will be some of that, but
So that's just communication though, that's not
Right.
equipment?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, but
I assume that's how it's always been, that's not new.
yeah,
But it just, now that we know what we don't know, I'm
Yeah,
asking
right.
questions that I
Yeah.
didn't know I
I mean,
needed
for
to
the
ask
most
before.
part, Tom, when he was here, he would always pretty much respond direct with car one.
Mhm.
That will happen. It's just, it depends on the nature of the call, If it's a fire alarm at Landmark College in the middle of the day and, Lenny's at the town garage and he hears, that you got enough people coming to the station, he might just go direct to the scene, find it's something simple, alarm needs to be reset, cancel all units, but it'll sort of just depend on what the dispatcher is sort of giving you for a feel on what the call is.
Okay.
So,
Rory?
The last 5.5 years, Tom expressly forbade people from going directly to the scene, with the exception being serious medical emergencies, so cardiac arrest. If you were driving past the cardiac arrest, you could go directly there. For anything fire related, no one was allowed to go direct to the scene. If you were just a general firefighter, I believe there was some leeway if you were an officer, but generally responding to any emergency, you're supposed to come here. A lot of other towns have struggled with everyone swarming the scene with their personal vehicles, resulting in heavily congested roads where fire apparatus can't really get through or set up the positions they need to.
Okay, well, that sounds like maybe a difference of operating opinion.
no, he's right.
Yeah.
For the majority of the people that are gonna be coming to the station to get on the truck, you're only talking about a few officers that might be going direct.
Okay, but
Yeah,
then
we're not talking about the whole department.
Okay,
Sorry,
no,
I guess that was a little confusing.
it's getting back to response times. So
Yeah.
the roster here is great. I don't know where all of these people work. I don't know where they live. I don't know where they'd be coming from on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And obviously they could go on vacation and not be available at all.
Right.
But it would be nice to know what the geographic
Yeah.
location is as relates to this building.
Yeah, we have talked about it a little bit as far as, a lot of that is just gonna be communication between people. Hey, I've gotta work out of town today, are you guys gonna be around? Yeah, I'll make sure I'm around because you're gonna be out of town.
Okay.
So a lot of that just comes down to just communicating between people.
Okay, and I'm gonna ask another annoying question. Is that protocol written down
As far as what?
as far as communicating?
I don't believe so.
Okay,
No,
that might be a good thing to write down.
yeah.
To have an expectation of what the communications are and, what the response time is expected to be on any given day.
Yeah, I think for the most part, what I would call there's gonna be a pretty good group of us that are in town the majority of the time. So whether you're in East Putney and you need to come here or you're right across the road, for the most part, you're gonna have you know, probably 5 or 6 guys that are in town the majority of the time.
Okay.
Laura Chapman.
Laura Chapman. Laura, go ahead.
He just answered my question, thank you.
Okay. Are there any other Zoom people? Okay. Karen.
So there is a standard operating procedure for communications, so we can look at that,
Okay.
or they can look at that
Yeah.
and see if it needs to be updated, and maybe that language can be added to it. But there is this
Okay.
procedure
Is that a
for it.
public document? It could be, right?
Yeah,
Okay. I don't think I've ever seen it before.
I know Peg's got it.
Okay. Are there other questions on the select board? How do we feel about this proposal?
I like it.
Do you like it? Eric, do you like it?
Yeah, I think they put a lot of work into it.
Do you have questions?
Yeah.
No?
Do you have questions? Mr. Furman?
Madam Chair, the gentleman in the back mentioned that they would divide the responsibilities of chief among a number of people. Just as a matter of information, who would be the incident commander if several of them are there?
Right, can you answer that question?
Yeah, that's gonna just work pretty much traditionally. So the highest ranking officer that's there is gonna run the scene. But if I get the scene 20 minutes into the call and I'm the highest ranking one there, and you know, Lenny is running the call and everything is going how it should be, you know, I feel like I would just assume somebody else, you know, share it, you know, let him get the experience too, and then you don't just end up with one guy that is, you know, running the call all the time. It'll let everybody have that way when one person is gone, you're not, you know, having people that are totally out of their element.
Is that how mutual aid works too? If mutual aid shows up, does somebody else take over if they're higher rank?
I don't know. It just depends. You know, if you have say you had something on the railroad with like hazmat, a big, huge incident, you know, maybe you, especially right now, you know, maybe you have, you know, a 5C1 or a 42C1, somebody that's been around it a long time. They're certainly gonna be right there to help. And, you know, if they're there to bounce stuff off, I mean, there's really no reason to give them command as long as they're there for their, you know, expertise,
Okay,
so.
so it's usually whoever shows up first at the scene, basically, usually.
Well, no, it's just, you know, for the most part, it's the highest ranking officer, but if I'm on scene and I'm not super comfortable with what's going on, I'm gonna ask for a chief officer out of Brattleboro or Westminster to be right with me, to help, and, yeah.
Okay.
Laura again.
Laura, go ahead.
Thanks. I really appreciate this concept and think it can work, and I commend you for it. And I have one concern. I've been a crisis responder, and so I know how quickly these things can move and how hard it can be to be reacting to a crisis, you know, getting into a car or truck and driving and communicating with each other. So I'm curious, like, if you've really thought about how that's going to happen quickly and safely. And then I also have a request, or at least a comment. There's been a lot of hurt feelings through this process over the past months, if not years. And people have felt left out at many moments, different groups of people. And I hope that as you're talking about all of this, you're finding ways to be really inclusive of everybody. And you're also thinking inclusively in your speech. I know that's a challenge. I'm talking to you, Brian. I'm sorry. I know that's a challenge sometimes, but it's important. And I often hear guys language being used, and I'm going to be that woman right now. There's more than guys, and you wouldn't like it if I called y'all gals all the time. So I hope that you can think about that and take that into consideration going forward.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Garland, did you have a comment?
No, thank you.
Okay. Are there any other, sorry.
I'm Russ.
Hi, for some reason.
That's all right.
Recognize you. Go ahead.
Anyways, adding to what Brian was saying, most of the time now, all the fire chiefs get together and it's basically called a unified command. And they usually lean into giving Putney's chief all the pertinent information they can. You can send them out and whatever you feel, get your information that you need. And then they come back and advise you. And it's a good way to work, a unified command.
Okay. It sounds like it's been kind of working that way already.
It's
and
been working that way.
I brought the question up, like I said, because I don't know what I don't know
Yep.
now, so.
It's been there for years and
Okay.
years and years.
Okay, Heather?
Just moving forward, if you guys have any questions about how things are kind of done like that, the National Incident Command System has classes, ICS 100, 200, 700 are gonna fill you in on all of that stuff.
You're suggesting we go to class.
I'm suggesting if you don't know what you don't know, you learn what you don't know.
That's fair. Okay, thank you. Okay, so I think that, it sounds like we're comfortable with this. I'd like to see these questions integrated into this plan, if that's okay.
Yeah.
In general, I think the more things that we have in writing, the better we'll all understand what's going on and won't get to this point again. So what is your expectation as far as a reactivation date? Is that you're thinking like tomorrow or Tuesday, or some training has to happen, or what's your time frame here?
I mean, I think we have enough guys, enough folks, firefighters, that, our engine one is getting worked on right now over at, Twin State in Chesterfield. I'd really like to have that back, but,
Okay, well, let's wait till that comes back. Do you know when it's coming back?
should be back tomorrow.
Okay.
So, it wouldn't be the end of the world to reactivate tonight. If I would probably just keep a mutual aid engine coming, especially on anything that was bigger than, a automatic fire alarm or something. But it probably wouldn't hurt to let us go through the trucks one more time just to make sure everything is up to snuff, and maybe shoot for tomorrow.
Okay, so, I mean, that works for me. Does that work for you, everybody? Yeah?
Yeah.
Does
We
somebody
shoot for
wanna-
like noontime tomorrow?
Noontime tomorrow? You think the truck will be back by then?
Yeah, they close at 12, so.
Oh, okay. So they better have it. Okay, does somebody wanna put a motion out?
I move that we unsuspend the Putney Fire Department effective tomorrow at noon.
Do I have one person?
Daniel Garcia.
Okay, just 1 second, I wanna get a second first. Do I have a second?
Second.
Alright, it's been moved and seconded to, unsuspend the Putney Fire, Department, effective noon, 5/25/24. Daniel?
Hi there, sorry.
You turn around where you can see me better. I'm Daniel Garcia Galili. I'm one of the folks that's responding to medical calls under the auspices of Rescue Inc. in town right now, and I think still nominally a member of the fire department. I didn't resign. So my question is just in terms of response plans for EMS calls. I know that we're still responding under Rescue Inc. I don't know if there's a plan right now that includes the fire department providing manpower for any kind of medical calls. I don't know if the fire department is just ignoring medical calls until the medical end of the fire department gets stood back up. I don't know if that's in the plan at all, but I think articulating under what circumstances the fire department would provide support for medical calls, if that's something that would just be requested by us if we needed it on scene, or if there are circumstances where it would be an automatic, would be an important part of planning here.
Do you want to answer that, Brian?
Yeah, I would say definitely if that just is a conversation that needs to happen and I mean, you know, whatever the EMS side wants and asks for, we'll do our best to provide it, for sure.
Okay, but we're not.
But as far as we're not reactivating the EMS, EMS is gonna stay through rescue as
for
of
the
right
time
now.
being, right?
But if they need anything, help with whatever they need, if they ask for it, we'll send it.
Okay.
I have a question.
What's your name?
My name is Lynn Weinstein.
Hi.
Hi. I'm just curious, because I don't know this, and I actually feel like I should know this. Are firefighters who are not trained as first responders or in EMS allowed to go to EMS calls?
They're not, unless there's somebody there that is certified, like if they were to ask for help with lifting or something, I mean, I wouldn't see a problem with, as long as there's somebody that has the scene, I think
Right, so if Daniel is at a call
yeah,
and he needs support,
absolutely.
a firefighter could show up without being trained,
I mean, I wouldn't.
even though they're not under the auspices of rescue at this point.
I wouldn't see the problem with it. I mean, we're gonna have to work together at some point or another, so if
I mean, it seems really good to me, because at this point, we only have 3 EMS
Yeah.
responders, so
Yeah.
we desperately need
Yeah.
more EMS responders.
I think that's just a conversation that needs to be had between, you know, whether it be Drew or Evan or Billy and we can figure that out.
I would second Daniel's comment that this should be addressed in the plan, though, that's, I mean, I don't know.
I think
It's
that
so much.
I think that's like a secondary plan. This is the
Okay.
first plan to get the fire services back up, because the EMS seems to be working
Okay,
pretty well. I mean, okay.
Okay,
Um,
okay, yeah.
better than the fire service was, so now we're standing up the fire service and then we can concentrate on the EMS piece. Billy?
I just had a clarifying comment as regards to the motion that was made, because I think the motion should specifically state that what is being unsuspended is the fire side only.
Okay,
It didn't say that.
that's true.
Yeah, I amend the
Friendly amendment.
friendly amendment, that what Billy said, it's only the fire side.
Okay, what Billy said.
Can we have that in the motion?
What Billy said, is that okay? Fletcher?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
great.
So the friendly amendment, so the motion is to unsuspend the fire service side of the Putney Fire Department, effective noon, 5/25/24. Are there other comments in the room? Are there any comments on Zoom? Any other comments on the select board? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we're good to go. Thank you for all your work. And thank you for hanging in there with all of us as we learn this process. Okay,
Thank you.
so can I hear a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you.